There's an outcast in everybody's life, and I am her. I am her.
I think when it comes to trans people, in the US in particular, I think we have some of the highest suicide rates amongst trans people as well, because our cultural issues, our cultural identities has so much to do with it, because there's not a lot of exposure to people outside of the typical gender binary. And so for a lot of these people, especially when they're closed off in these very small communities of just, you think to yourself, you're not a normal human being, this isn't natural, you're a sinner in the eyes of God, and therefore the best thing you could do for yourself and for your family is to just kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. Please just don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
Suicide is never the answer, and it's really all about really trying to find a better solution for us by really just being visible and striking up these conversations, whether they're uncomfortable or not, with our family members, with people within our communities. They need exposure to this, and they don't have a lot of that. And so we need people right now giving our community this exposure, because the sooner we get this ball moving, it's all gonna be going like, it's gonna be snowball effect from here on that. You know, people are just gonna become more and more aware of it, be more socially conscious of it, but it's gotta start now. And so it's gotta start with us just doing our own thing, being who we are, being proud, being out, doing the most. You know, do what's best for you, because ultimately it's your happiness over someone else's. And you're gonna feel just so free. You're gonna feel so liberated once you finally start accepting who you are and really just start living your best life that way. It's gonna be hard, you know, the life of being transgender or like any kind of gender non-conforming, it's not gonna be the easiest. That's 100%, you know, without a doubt. But I think the more we stay connected with each other, the less alone we'll feel.
There's more than one way of being a woman, for sure. Like, there is no, you know, first of all, don't compare yourself to other trans people. If you're just starting out, this is your own journey, this is no one else's journey. Live for yourself. Don't compare your body, and don't compare your face, or even like your hairline, to other trans women, to other cis women, because it's not gonna do you any good. It's good to have goals. It's good to be like, hey, I want to have FFS someday. Passing isn't gonna bring you love. Passing isn't gonna bring you friends. So don't worry about it. Passing is not everything in life. Like, yes, it's good to have that goal. It's good to be like, I want to, be more feminine. I want to be able to not be misgendered in public. That's super important. And I think it's really important that every trans person like look in front of the mirror and be like, you are beautiful and you are valid how you are now. Even because from now, you're gonna probably look different. I mean, especially if you're near the beginning, people change, you know what I mean? Life is too short to like be shitting on yourself all the time. It's just, I do it sometimes. I'm like, this is a waste of my energy. I could use this energy to fight for something important. Like, if you live in a state where your insurance is not gonna cover your FFS, fight it, sue them. Like, lead the fight for other trans women. No one's gonna fight for us. We have to fight for ourselves. That's the way it's always been done. Trans women have been fighting for gay rights, for queer people since, the beginning of time, since the 60s especially, you know what I mean? We have to be strong and fend for ourselves and fight for ourselves. So definitely try to fight for yourself in your everyday life and be proud of who you are, because the whole reason why we shit on ourselves, why we tell ourselves we're not good enough, we're not passing enough, we're not femme enough, is because that's what we were taught from 2 years old. So we have to unlearn that behavior, right? We have to see gender as a spectrum. We have to see ourselves as beautiful, because that's where it starts. That's how other trans women believe that they're beautiful, is because someone said all trans women are beautiful. That's why you see like all trans women are beautiful, and I love them on like Facebook posts every day, because it's important to spread that culture, to like be like, everyone is valid, every transition is valid. If you're trying, that's good enough. You're good enough.
Don't worry about men, they will come and go. Like, sis, really, seriously, don't worry about men, they will come and go. I think it's so important also that transitions are not linear. Like there's not necessarily like, I'm gonna do this and then I'll be done. Or I'm gonna do this and then I'll be as real as rain. Like that's not real. That's not how it works. It's okay if things take time. It's okay if you know, do one thing and then don't do anything for, like, I had my pussy when I was 21 and then I had facial feminization when I was 27. Like there was a huge gap between those two things. I had a boob job when I was 26 and, you know, I was like, I didn't have anything done for years. So I think it's really important to realize that, like, just because the next girl is getting all her things done back to back to back, that doesn't mean that you need to do that. And that what works for one girl does not work for every girl. Recently, I feel like I was talking to this young girl, I call her my niece. I was talking to her because she has a car, she got a place to stay, she has her family, and they don't necessarily like support her, but they let her stay in the house and they aren't kicking her out, and they try to make sure that she's alive. And I'm like, sis, you better cling on to that. And if you have that, then you need to get your ass a job, and you need to be going to interviews, and you need to really try to get like a normalcy in your life, because that, having a home, having a car that your parents gave you is a huge privilege. There are girls literally breaking their fucking backs just so that they can have a place to stay and sleep at night, and you have all of that and you're wasting your energy. And I feel like there's so many girls who don't realize like how privileged even just having a home is, because I was homeless and I realized at that moment, like, wow, like the ability to go home to your parents is a privilege. And if you have that, don't waste that. Don't waste your energy like being out in the streets and doing things when you don't need to or have to, because the next girl like literally is forced into this lifestyle. And if you don't have to do that, then don't. Like I would never tell a girl like, oh yeah, like it's fun to do these things, because it may seem like it's fun or it may seem like it's glamorous, but at the end of the night, if a girl who's working her back, like working to the bone to survive, had the option to not, she would not be doing it, hands down. And if I had that option, my life would have been so much easier. I wouldn't have had to do a lot of dangerous things that I regret now if I knew that I was supported. I think don't test your realness. I feel like a lot of the girls try that, and I don't think that's smart. I think you're setting yourself up for death if you are trying to test your realness in a place where you might get murdered. I think also it's important to realize that nothing is worth your life. Drugs are not worth your life, because it could be bad drug deals gone wrong. We don't know the details also. I feel like people often put a lens on our deaths after the fact. And it's important that you realize your self-worth, and you really think like, is this worth me dying? Because I feel like a lot of times maybe we don't think that. We're caught up in like what's happening, that we're not like, wait, like, is this worth me losing my life? And most often it's not worth it. And if it's not worth it, then you don't need to be doing it. And I think that's so important. And I also feel like if you have the opportunity to get a regular job, take it. Get the job, girl. You might feel like, I've been clocked out. I mean, I've had jobs and I've been clocked and X, Y, and Z, and I worked at a grocery store for years, but it was like, I had a job and I didn't have to survival sex work, and I was able to have things on my resume like, oh, I worked at this grocery store for over a year, and I was able to transfer my job to a different grocery store. And I think it's important to realize that, like, I think it's a misnomer, it's like a misconception that we can't get jobs or that we can't have steady income. I think we can, especially in 2019 in metropolitan areas. You can get a job, sis. Like, don't listen to like people telling you like the only thing you can do is like this, or the only thing you can do is sell drugs and like do sex work. Like, no, even if it's a fucking job at damn Starbucks, sis, or McDonald's, girl, get the job, sis. Like, it's a job. And people look down on us so much, And it sucks that there's a stigma against sex work because I think it is valid work. But if you have the opportunity to not be engaged in survival sex work, then I would say hands down do it, because especially in a place where you are more likely to be murdered, it's not worth your life.
The advice that I would give to young up and coming trans women, girls, to know exactly where you want to be within a 5-year radius. Do what you got to do for yourself, and don't forget that time is of the essence. Because yes, when we're young, we're all beautiful and we don't have anything growing on our face, and things are working in our favor. But then as time goes along, that puberty starts to kick in. So you gotta nip that in the bud at an early age. If I could rewind time and do anything back, I would have stayed in school. I would have bit the bullet and did what I had to do and push myself so I wouldn't have had to learn the hard way. And I'm happy that I'm able to be here now to speak this to the younger generation, because you have your time, you have your youth. I wasted my youth hanging out at clubs and hanging out at drag balls and stuff like that. And you just gotta put yourself first. Like, be the best you that you could be in transition, in wanting to transition. Because when you know that you have that opportunity to be able to do that, then you can be able to be your best in your adult years. So I would say start off young, learn yourself, love yourself, try to bond with your family, try to have some type of relationship with some of your family members. If it's just one family member that understands your walk of life, try to have that in your corner, because it could lead you through a state of depression. I was depressed for so many years because I didn't have anyone to call on to. I didn't have anyone that I could have reached out to on rainy days. And that motel manager was gonna be knocking at that door at 11 o'clock the next day saying, "Where's my rent?" I didn't have no auntie or uncle or people that I could call on to. So cherish that. If you have family members that's there for you and that has your best interests at heart, cherish that. Now I'm happy to say that I'm in a better relationship with my mother now. There's still a little things here and there that I know that she's dealing with, and I just think that gets better with time, because my mother is someone that likes to sweep things under the rug, not face them, not acknowledge them. And I'm the one that always acknowledges things and tries to make peace of things, but that could be coming across as stay in a child's place. Who do you think you are? And right now I'm at a nice medium with my mother where we understand each other. We know each other's lifestyles, and she has actually apologized for some things that she did in the past, which was, really relieving, and it helped relieve some of the stress that I had along the way. So
you have to forgive.
At times I do harbor a lot of resentment in that, because I felt like those were the pivotal years that, that could have helped me, that could have stopped from all of the traumatic experience that I had to endure. And I hold a lot of resentment sometimes, but you do have to forgive, and you have to let go, and you have to be the better person about the situation. And I would do things like show my mother little videos of Jazz Jennings, the young trans, and I would say, "Mom, don't you think that our relationship would have been so cool if you would have just, look at this young trans girl. She got to come out to her family and they're walking her through life. That's something that I longed for, and that's something that I longed for growing up. Especially my dad, I never got to really close that chapter with him because he passed away 4 years ago. I got to make ends meet and just have a bonding moment with him the last moment that I got to see him. And And he expressed to me that he wished he wouldn't have treated me certain ways around all the family members. So that was an amazing thing as well. But it just goes back to me reaching out to the younger generation and just saying, try to open up the dialogue with your family, whether they're accepting or not, because it could hinder you in so many ways of your adulthood and your upbringing. You could experience so many things or interact with people certain ways due to the fact that you have been hurt and broken down. So you have to put on this hard exterior in order to propel yourself and push you forward each day. But that could block you in a lot of ways too, because you're so used to being knocked down. So let me put my guards up so can't nobody else knock me down.
You need to stand up for yourself. You gotta set a boundary. You gotta really set a boundary, because through life, it's gonna be so many different people who are going to step on your shoes, who are going to try to push you to the side, who are gonna try to disrespect you and talk to you anyway. I don't necessarily condone violence, but I do believe in creating a boundary that is clear in the sand so people know that you are not to be fucked with. I just came here to dance for y'all, and that's it. You know, I didn't come here to be bullied. I didn't come here to be raped or disrespected. And I think that a lot of times it'll be easier for you to navigate through life and through people if you hold your head up high, you know, look people in their eye. Maintain your presence when you're walking down the street, whether you're in the backwoods of Alabama or you're in the hills of Los Angeles or the mean streets of Brooklyn, New York. Hold your head up high, you know, walk in stride. You know, because people only do to you what you allow them to do. And also, no matter what your mother told you or no matter what TV may have told you, your feelings are your responsibilities. Nobody can make you mad. Nobody can hurt your feelings unless you allow them to. You know, yeah, what that person said could be fucked up, but you don't have to take on anything that's not of you. You don't have to be that bitch or that hoe or that faggot or that tranny. You don't have to assume that. Just because they said it doesn't mean that that's what you are. That's because just because they call you something doesn't mean you have to answer to it. So, you know, whether it's a domestic violence situation where you're getting, you know, pummeled around by your man at home, or whether it's you're at school and people are disrespecting you for whatever reason, you know, you have to stand your ground and set a boundary, because you cannot go through life being a pussy. I believe in tough love, honey, so I'm not gonna sit here and be all delicate about it. I'm not gonna sit here and coddle you. People will do you any way that you allow, and as long as you allow people to disrespect you, they will disrespect you. And a lot of times, I know it's hard, especially if you're shy or if you're a timid soul or a timid spirit, but eventually you'll get tired of getting your ass whooped, and either one or two things are gonna happen. You're gonna stand up for yourself in a positive way, or you're gonna go try to shoot up a church. So while you're not that person, right, or yourself, like it doesn't have to get that deep. You know, you don't have to internalize anything that these people are saying, because you're actually really dope. And if you just hold on for a little while, I promise you it gets better. It gets better. It really does.
You know, my mom had her own issues. She wasn't able to provide for me, so at a very young age I had to provide for myself and try to finish school and transition at the same time. I went to high school open. I went dressed as a woman. And yeah, it was a very tough experience, because I had to fight the battles at home, and I had to fight the battles in school, and I had to fight the battles in society. So a lot of pressure and stress on the transgender body, you know? Before the hormones kind of kicked in, the way I was treated was like if I was this ugly, disgusting piece of thing. But once the hormones affected my body and my face, and they saw the beauty, they came around and they wanted to be around. So that's another reason why I have a lot of trust issues. You know, it's hard trusting people when they switch up on you in different parts of your life. You know, I lost a lot of friends once I told them I wanted to transition because they, I guess, thought that I was gonna change, but which I did, but just physically, you know, I still stayed the same. To all my plus size queer and trans people that I love so much, y'all are juicy and y'all better fuck it up. You know, I've been big in my lifetime. I'm a little big right now. I've been 300 pounds, I've been huge, and it's always very empowering to be comfortable in your skin, even bigger, and showing the world how beautiful you are and how much you stand out next to the skinny girl and next to the other, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Which is what I wanted to do for Pose. You know, for Pose, I got a little ball goer role as an extra. And I remember before I got it, I had gained some weight, but I go up and down, and I was planning on starting to work out and lose the weight because I like to give different looks. And once Pose hit, I had an idea of being a bigger plus size girl in that ballroom scene, and not taking but getting the attention just as much as any other skinny girl, you know. And in the media they promote thinness a lot. So on Pose, honey, I went in there and I gave them big girl realness, and I got featured for the big girls. And I just want to tell you that your body weight does not define your beauty. It does not define you as a human. It does not define you. Like, you're not going to be able to do what another thin person can do. You know, you just gotta step into that, and you'll see.
You know, even with all of the pain and all of the heartache that I went through to have this sex change, because after I got my sex change, the guy who I was with, we ended up separating. And one of the reasons that he stated that he was leaving was because he felt like I thought I was better. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, my self-esteem went up because it's something that I had always wanted. And so I got a little cocky, and I think, you know, I hurt his feelings with a lot of things that I said. So, you know, try not to get to the place, you know, we are bound by men, you know, those of us who want to be post-op, you know, they do, you know, play on our insecurities and our inadequacies when we don't have the surgery. And so, you know, a lot of us, we feel like it's retaliation time when we get the sex change. But
and sometimes like some post-ops, they kind of come back to like they tell men who sleep with pre-ops, you know, you're gay. They enforce all the things that, you know, they've been told, like, oh, you know, you're gay, you mess with trannies, you know, because some of them, a lot of post-ops, they feel that now they are not the same as pre-ops. They feel like they're in another realm of womanhood.
And I think that when we use our vaginas to be divisive, you know, some of us get it to be divisive. I think that's counterproductive. And I, for one, am not that girl. I just don't like being discredited, because I had to leave a lot of trans groups because every time I would talk about my vagina in transsexual spaces, it was like they would mute me. You know, I couldn't talk about it. It was like, because in the moment I said anything, they took it as exaltation. And I know post-op trans girls have a history of doing that. But I think it's just from the toxic past that we come from, you know. That was the whole point. A lot of girls did it, was to give female privilege. And you know, it was at a time when trans women who were pre-op weren't getting any privilege. They were just getting killed, called me and he. There was no privilege for pre-op trans women. The privilege came from having the sex change. And so a lot of us are still in that mindset. One of the things that I used to say was, I love dick so much I had to get another hole to put it in. And sometimes I'll say I like dick in me, not on me. And so I have a lot of like little funny colloquialisms that I'll make up to, you know, just talk about my sex change. But for a long time I felt uncomfortable because it wasn't as deep as I would like it. Because you know, you're supposed to dilate it every day or every other day at least. And I didn't want to be a slave to it, because it was like you have to recondition your thought process, because when you're sticking something inside of you, the computer, the programming in your mind is saying, we're doing this to get an orgasm. And I am not a person that masturbates every day. And so it felt really, I started to feel perverted. I even went through this season where I would listen to gospel music while I was masturbating to keep me from thinking about sex. So like I really had to disassociate while I was dilating. Now I'm to the place to where I dilate once a week, because I recently had this amazing sexual relationship, but that's all it was, unfortunately. This amazing sexual relationship where this guy, I mean, he was breaking it off in me. I mean, he was breaking it off in all my hoes. And I have not been penetrated since him. This was last year, October the 7th. I haven't been penetrated since him. And that's how good it was. But that's where I get that idea about that vulnerability, you know? And so you have to learn to respect yourself. You have to learn to respect the sacredness of why you went and had that. Because if you just let men jump up and down and you just trying to prove that you're a woman and you can take dick, you will get yourself mentally messed up, you know, because sex is about an exchange of energy. And if that man ain't right in his head, honey, he will just put all of that on you. So my advice to you when you get this vagina, honey, is love yourself. Like RuPaul said, if you don't love yourself, how can you love somebody else? Love yourself. Do not, I repeat, get this surgery because you're trying to please a man, because you think it's gonna make you more fishier than the next girl, or because you feel like that's what it takes to make you a woman. You know, for me, this was a spiritual journey, which explains the pain in my face.
Take your time. Another thing is, don't measure yourself against other girls or what everybody else is doing. I think that I've been successful at who I am because I don't like really pay attention to trends or, you know, what's going on. To me, everybody starts to look the same. You know, everybody's dressing the same or wearing the same kind of hair, and you know, so find your individuality and be comfortable in that. Be who you are. Find your style. Play with looks. Know what works for you. I know what works for me. I know I can put on a pair of tights and a long shirt, you know what I'm saying, or a little, you know, throw. I'm good, you know, that's my, everything is not, you know, and as you soften and as your body develops, you'll be able to do more things. Your body's changing constantly, so don't rush into trying to have surgeries. You don't have to have surgeries. All women don't have big breasts and big asses and, you know, just all of that stuff. Be comfortable and be healthy. A lot of girls are now into a lot of drugs and stuff, and I tell girls all the time, the estrogen is synthetic. So these drugs, these hard-ass drugs, eating this estrogen up. So that's why you're not seeing no difference in your transition, because you're doing too much, you're living a hard lifestyle. You're becoming a woman. You can no longer be that man and be reckless and live like that. You have to, you know, make some changes if you want to take it serious. And I just want to reiterate again the point of not measuring yourself against the next girl. There's no way you can compare 1 year to 10 years, or, you know, it just, you know, there's levels. So don't look at a girl that's been transitioning, you know, and for 10 years, or thinking, or a girl that started when she was fucking 12 or 13. Like, the results are going to be different. And it's okay. It's okay. I know when I was first transitioning, I met a girl, and she was going to like be the mother figure in my house, but that didn't happen. But at this time, I was just basically like getting in drag, and she used to love to hang around with me because of the attention, and the guys liked, you know, she was this trans woman, and she had, you know, been transitioning for years and looked, you know, totally female, but she wanted to be around me because of the attention that I was drawing, you know, from the guys, because at a point she just became a regular old boring girl. So, you know, I think I'm a person that I take pride in being trans, in all that it is, and I wouldn't change it. And I look forward to, you know, moving along and moving ahead. And if you see this and you want to reach out, maybe ask a question or need some advice, Tia Carter, you could CARTA, Facebook, Instagram, you know, hit me up. I'm always willing to talk. And I will talk to you guys soon. These are my confessions.